How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this painting tutorial. In this video we're going to look at how to paint this Masque of the Soaring Spite Harlequin. This was a very interesting model to paint because it uses a lot of different colors and it's very entertaining as well. It also uses a difficult technique, which is freehanding the Harlequin pattern on their clothes, but I'm going to guide you through how I did it with mine. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we will start. I'm going to start by having a primed model with a Rust-Oleum primer. You can use any primer that you like. I would suggest using black because most of the colors are dark, so it's a good base to start. I'm going to start by painting all of the details that I want to be in purple. It's going to be most of the suit where it's not black, which is the pants and the shirt and the undershirt as well. But I'm trying to leave all of the parts that are going to be Harlequin pattern alone and all of the parts that are going to be black alone, but also the head and most of the suit, just ignoring the parts that are going to be in other colors. I'm going to use Caledor Sky to paint the areas that I want to be patterned in a Harlequin pattern, and this looks better when you alternate and you pick one part from the pants and the opposite side of the shirt. All of the colors that I use here are thinned down with a little bit of water, so make sure to thin down your paint and apply multiple coats to make sure that the layers are even. Many of these need multiple layers, so be sure that you are applying them thin so you don't obscure the detail. Here I'm using Lothern blue over all the Caledor Sky areas, completely covering it. The Caledor Sky was only base coat so that Lothern blue could cover well over it. Next I'm going to use Leadbelcher, and with this color I'm going to cover all of the details that are going to be silver. Here is going to be... these steps are going to look a little bit messy because we're trying to just cover all of the main colors and prepare them for a wash, and then we're going to start highlighting and all. Just make sure that you make as clean as a job as possible as you can, and it doesn't matter if you cover places that you haven't painted yet because you can paint over them. Here I'm using Khorne Red for this cloth, and you can use any color that you like. I chose red, but yellow would look pretty cool, also purple. Make sure to be careful not to paint other parts in the miniature. If you do, you can just clean them up with the other colors, but you're going to save some time if you try to be more neat. Next I'm going to use Celestra Gray. This is going to be to paint the Masque. Remember to thin down colors, especially the ones that are very light, because they tend to form crumbs and brush strokes if you apply them too thick or if you're moving the paint around while it's drying. Next I'm using Gehenas gold, and with this color I'm going to cover all of the places that I want to be gold. Here I'm using a detail brush to be very careful not to paint other parts, and I'm using a little bit of water to thin it down. You can also use drying retarders, they're pretty good for extending the life of your paint, but I'm using this on all of the gold details around the model. Next, and this is the last base coat I think, it's going to be black, Abbadon Black, to make sure that the boots and gloves are black and clean. The black from the primer and the black from this Abbadon Black color have different finishes, so you have to make sure to give the full black parts base coat of this color so that they look even and not different under the light. And with that we finished the base coats. We're gonna move on to the washes. I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade to shade in all of the gold details and the red as well. You can use any wash that you want on different areas. I just selectively used different ones from different things. You can shade the whole model in black. if you want. I'm just trying to only make sure that the Lothern blue for the Harlequin pattern stays clean, so don't shade over that. Next, Druchii Violet is going to be used on all of the purple parts and also the mask. You can thin it down a little bit on the mask. I overdid it, I think, with just using it straight from the pot, but it's no big deal. I'm going to clean it up. And I also shaded in all of the blue on the crest on the helmet. Next, I'm using Nuln Oil, and this color I'm going to use it only on the silver parts and on places around the blue where my Harlequin's pattern is going to be, just to make sure that the edges are lined up and we have a shadow in the crevices. But I'm not washing the blue itself. Once this is dry, I'm going to move on to making the Harlequin pattern, and I'm going to use a micron pen with a 0.005. You can find this in craft stores or art stores, and I'm going to go on and draw parallel lines going at an angle around 45 degrees. And once I have my parallel lines, we can use perpendicular lines to make the Harlequins. This is going to be easier to control, and we won't have to mix an exact consistency of black with water and paint to do these lines with brush, because it's more difficult. So I would suggest you to get this pen. You can also use a pencil, but if you use a pencil you have to draw it in afterwards with black. Next, I'm using Genestealer Purple, and this is going to be to fill in the Harlequins that you want to be purple. And this is going to take at least 2 coats, because we're using thin paint and we're trying to be neat and be very careful not to go into the black or the blues, and to alternate the colors well. There's really no exact science on doing this. You have to be have a steady hand. You can brace your hands and be as steady as you can, and have a little bit of skill to do this. If you don't feel that confident, you can draw bigger Harlequins if you like. Next, I'm going to mix White Scar and Genestealer Purple about 50-50, and this is going to be to give a highlight to the purple parts. Just draw a couple lines on the top of the Harlequins to give the illusion of a highlight where light is hitting the upper edges of those Harlequins. It's just a couple lines, and you have to be very careful to have thin paint and fine brush. I'm going to do the same thing for the blue, with mixing Lothern blue and White Scar in about equal parts, and again highlighting the top parts of those Harlequins. And with that, the Harlequin pattern will be finished. If you take your time and be very careful, you will have a Harlequin pattern that looks like this, and I think it's very effective. I'm going to go on to paint the crest, and I'm using Lothern blue to highlight again the places where it's blue, and trying to pick up all of the raised parts and leaving the recesses on the previous color. Next, I'm going to mix again Lothern blue and White Scar in about equal parts, and I'm going to use this as an extreme highlight on the edges of the hair. Just try to pick a little less area than the last highlight, and only on the very edges. Next, I'm going to highlight the purple. I'm going to use Xereous Purple. This is going to be used on the suit and on the hairs on the crest, the same way that we use Lothern blue. And on the suit, we're going to look at the model below the light and try to color in all of the places where you see light reflecting off of your model from the light source. Don't try to hold it in another position. Try to pick one position and look at all of the highlights and highlight them, and don't move it around. Just try to be consistent with the way the model reflects light. Next I'm going to use Genestealer Purple again, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the crest with the blues. Trying to pick all of the places in the outer parts of the crest and closest to the edges. And on the suit, remember that we're doing the edge highlights as well, but in the places that are round and that we highlighted with only the light that reflects from the light source, we're going to pick a smaller part of that highlight on the place that is more bright when you see at the model. Just try to pick a little spot inside of the other purple, and that's going to be enough. I'm going to highlight this piece of cloth with Evil Sun Scarlet, trying to focus on the edges. I'm not really concerned about making it look very bright. I'm just going to brighten up all of the edges and places that are most exposed to light, but I'm leaving the very dark red show in the places that are in the middle of the cloth because I think it looks cool. Next, I'm going to mix in equal parts Evil Sun Scarlet and Kislev Flesh. This is a weird combination, but I'm trying to avoid highlighting with either pink or orange because I didn't want to use those colors in this miniature. So I'm going for a more peachy red highlight. And this is going to be a little bit subtle because it's not that much bright, but I'm working the areas for the last highlight, which is going to be pure Kislev Flesh, and I think it looks pretty cool. You let me know what you think, but I like it how it looks. Next I'm using Kislev Flesh, as I said, and this is going to be only focused on the most sharp edges and places that need an extreme highlight, and this is going to be the final highlight for these areas. I think it looks pretty cool. Next, I'm going to use Celestra Gray, and I'm going to start cleaning up the mask. Be very careful to use thin paint so that you don't obscure the detail, and you can use a couple layers. And try to stay outside of the places where the wash settled. So just try to clean up the most part of face, but just leave the recesses on the previous color. Ulthuan Gray is going to be another highlight for these areas, trying to leave a little bit of the Celestra Gray behind, but most of the other areas I'm going to try to pick up on the most raised parts. And to finish it off, I'm going to use White Scar to pick the sharpest edges on the mask and places that are more protruded, like the cheekbone, the nose, the lips, and the eyebrows. Once it's done, the model looks like this. I'm going to move on to highlight the black with Eshin Gray. With this color we're going to pick all of the edges that we can with the fine detail brush, and the same as with the purple. On places where it's round, it's not very clearly defined, you can just pick up the places where the light reflects from the black, and that's a very nice way to highlight. It looks pretty good. And then I'm going to move on to Dawnstone and do the same thing, but this time I'm going to only focus on the sharpest edges, on the edges, and on the round parts I'm going to give a lighter highlight on the most bright places where the light reflects. Now that that's done, I'm going to move on to the silver, and for this I'm going to use Model Air Silver. Instead of, you can use Runefang Steel if you want, but I like this color a lot because it's very shiny and it looks pretty good. And I'm going to use this to highlight all of the silver areas, trying to stick to the edges and most protruded places. Next, I'm going to highlight the gold with Retributor armor. I'm going for a very yellowy gold with this color instead of using a yellow color on the suit, because yellow looks very good with this sort of models. I went for a very yellow metallic, so that's what I decided to do. You can do it however you like. Next, I'm going to use Liberator gold, and with this color I'm just picking up the edges just to tone down a little bit of the yellow and give it a silvery highlight on the edges. And this is the finished model. I had a lot of fun painting this model. It has a lot of different areas to paint, and it's not monotonous at all, because it keeps you entertained painting different parts of the miniature and trying to be original in each one. You can change up the colors and do different stuff, but it does have one of the most difficult things that you can do on miniatures, which is freehanding the harlequin pattern. And also the mask could give you trouble because it's a very light color. But other than that, the other colors are pretty easy to paint, and I like it a lot. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you found it entertaining and helpful. And if you like it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support really helps out the channel, and it's very appreciated. Leave any comments and questions in the comment section below, and I hope to see you on the next video. You stayed. Great. Thank you very much for watching my video, and if you would like to further support my channel, you can become my Patreon on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and you are helping me create more and better content. If you can't, that's fine, because you're helping my channel a lot just for watching and sharing, but you can read all of the details if you follow the link in the description below. I hope you can spare $1 to make this hobby of mine a job for which I can get paid. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.